President Caron, thanks so much for joining us here on APTN InFocus. You've been president of the Métis National Council now for just over a year, right? So how's this past year been for you?
It's been a really incredible year. It's been an incredibly busy year with all of the work that we've been doing at the Métis National Council. You know, not only just within the Secretariat and with our governing members of the Métis National Council, but a lot of really large global events happening as well that has included the Métis Nation. So lots of different events. It's been incredibly busy, but it's been a really positive year, a lot of positive growth and a lot of positive development as we continue to move forward the Métis Nation.
And there's been no shortage of adversity as well, I imagine, for you since having been elected. You know, the MMF leaving, a lawsuit against the MMF and others. I'm just curious to know, like, how do you deal with some of the challenges that you face and will continue to face leading this organization?
Honestly, it's through continuing to ground myself with our communities and with elders to make sure that everything that I'm doing as I do this work at the national level, advancing the Métis voice at the national and international levels, is really grounded from our communities up. And I do that through constant communication with our governing members, constant communication with citizens and communities all across the Métis Nation homeland, and a lot of support from my elders.
And you had mentioned some of the highlights just before I had asked that last question. So what are some of the highlights since you've become president?
I think, you know, the first one top of mind is our annual General Assembly at the Métis National Council. We just wrapped up our General Assembly about 3 weeks ago, the first one since my election. And it was extremely positive. So much work has been done in this last year, so much work to bring the Métis Nation closer together, to find different ways to collaborate as we evolve towards, you know, really seeing through some of the visions that our ancestors have dreamt of for many generations. And as we move towards those, you know, we need to evolve together. We need to work together. We need to collaborate more. And we're finding those different ways of doing so. And I think the General Assembly that we just completed really showed that positive movement forward. And I'm very happy with that. And that's right now the number one highlight that's top of my mind. But of course, there's been so many incredible things that have happened throughout this last year. We've been able to really, since last March when travel opened up, of course we're still dealing with the pandemic, but travel opened up a little bit more, and we were able to travel throughout the Métis Nation homeland and visiting with communities, learning their stories, sharing those stories at the national and international level so that we can continue to influence change for the Métis Nation.
So why is it important for the Métis National Council to have a woman leader after, you know, so many years with men leading the charge?
Well, there's a number of different reasons, and you know, the one that I've talked with my elders and a lot of community members about is that women in the Métis Nation have a different perspective to bring to leadership roles. Women are life bearers, life givers. So we inherently have the big picture when we lead. We have a big picture looking forward into the future generations to try to build a brighter future for the next generations to come. And so we bring a really unique perspective to leadership. And, you know, within the Métis Nation, women have played an incredible role throughout our history. And a lot of those stories, you know, they go untold. We have, of course, our heroes of the Métis Nation, Louis Riel and Gabriel Dumont, but there's been some really incredible leaders in the background, women leaders in the background that have done so much incredible work to help the nation get to where we are today. And so, you know, I take it on as my responsibility to start uncovering some of those stories and uplifting our women who have really brought us to where we are today, and to bring that unique perspective to this leadership role.
And so what can you bring that somebody else can't, or maybe that a male couldn't in this role right now?
Well, that's a really fascinating question. I think everybody has their own unique skills, regardless of if you're male, female, or gender diverse. Everybody has a role to play within our nation. For me specifically, I think the skills that I bring to this position is being able to foster that inclusivity, to bring as many diverse voices to the table as possible. When we think about, building a nation, moving forward, we need to do what we can to represent the diversity of the Métis Nation. And we can only do that by bringing more voices to the table. And so I see myself as a facilitator of that collaboration and bringing more voices to the table so that we're doing this in a good way to ensure that the Métis Nation moves forward to build a brighter future for everybody.
And what kinds of barriers, do Indigenous women face when it comes to, getting into these leadership roles or trying to get into some of these leadership roles?
I think there's a number of challenges. And, I think one of the challenges that we face as women in leadership is actually talking about the challenges that we face. But it's so important that we do talk about the challenges that we face as Indigenous women in leadership, because if we don't, then we're not going to be finding solutions, and we're going to be leaving those challenges for the next generations to come. So talking about the challenges is incredibly important. One of the challenges, obviously, that I face as a young Métis leader is ageism and misogyny. Still, wherever I go, there's always going to be individuals in a room who don't take me as seriously until I bring the voice of our communities to that table and show individuals that we deserve to be here as women leaders, as young women leaders. You really have to earn that respect in a way that I think men maybe don't have to work as hard for. I'm not discounting anybody's unique experiences, but that is what I have faced in this last year. I think there's a lot of challenges, outside of just this specific position, but for women Métis leaders who want to succeed in, different areas, different corporations, or they want to, become the CEO or a president of another company. Métis women carry so many responsibilities for their families, for their communities. We have so many roles to play. And when you want to succeed in other realms, you're often forced to choose between, serving your community, serving your family, or succeeding in whatever it is you want to succeed in. And we have to do our part in changing those positions to ensure that Métis women can do what they want to do, succeed in whatever career they want to succeed in, while also not having to choose between serving their community, their nation, or their family. And that's some of the work that I am trying to do, trying to talk about, working with different organizations to shape that future so that Métis women can fill those positions and really succeed.
And you had already touched on my next question, but maybe I'll just expand on it a little bit. So you mentioned some of the personal challenges you've faced since becoming president. I wonder if there's maybe a couple more that you could think of since coming into your role?
This role specifically at the Métis National Council, we've had a lot of work to do in this last year. This organization has a long way to go to evolve alongside of our governing members. The Métis Nation British Columbia, Métis Nation Alberta, Métis Nation Saskatchewan, and Métis Nation of Ontario have done some incredible work in the last number of years to evolve into Métis governments that serve their citizens. The Métis National Council has to evolve alongside of our Métis governing members to be able to do the work that they need us to do to advocate for them at the national and international levels. So we're in a time of growth, we're in a time of evolvement, and we're just doing so much work, but the outcome of that hard work is going to be incredible. And I know that we're going to be, and we are doing some really great things to make sure that our governing members are represented.
What, and just kind of further to that, what advice do you have for other women who want to be leaders, whether it be in their community, in their local organization? Just what advice do you have for other women who just want to be leaders?
Well, first and foremost, I always say that every individual has leadership within them. It's not something that you have to go out and find. Everybody has leadership within them, and they just have to foster that in whatever area that you're passionate about. Within our Métis communities, our artists are leaders, our educators are leaders, parents are leaders. Everybody has that leadership within them, and you just need to find what you're passionate about and pursue that. And I think that's the advice that I have for especially young Métis women, is find what you're passionate about, pursue it. There is a role for everybody within our communities to play within the nation building process that we're currently in. And I encourage everybody to get involved in whatever way it is that they want to and pursue it.
President Caron, I think that's a great way to end our conversation. I want to say a big thank you, Miigwech, to you for coming on APTN InFocus and sharing a bit of your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much.